Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Airy Sky Rita Lee's video blog. So, we got a lot to talk about today. Sorry, the light's a little dim. I usually keep it off for the heat purposes. It's been pretty damn humid today. It's like 40% humid. And to me, it's just miserable here. The sun hits the window and then heats it up and then roasts me like a basically baked pig. Basically, I just got done drying off. I still got my brush my hair. So we're gonna be talking about prepping today, pricing, stockpiling, etc. Zoe's probably gonna want the light on, so there we go. Zoe's always don't forget the light, So I'd let Zoe know I'm live, you know. So basically, I'm wearing some clean pants at least. Unfortunately, I had my bath. Last night's dinner was pork chops. It wasn't bad. I think the soup could be more desirable, but it's a hit and miss. That's what I was gonna say. It's hit and miss. Chloe ate the hamburger, so I was just like, what the hell with it. So got an email came in. It was from YouTube saying, "Oh, you're live." So we're gonna be talking about prepping today. We're gonna be talking about what you need to start prepping, making sure you get everything you need, dry goods, everything. We're gonna go through the entire preppers list. If I miss something, Zoe or Higgins would, but Higgins is not going to be here. He's having dinner with his mom and watching a movie. So, old man Higgins emailed me today. Or actually, today, early this morning, like 10, I was sleeping. Said something about, are you ready for this? So, a couple kids, he was talking about how the neighbor, there's this girl that went missing. His neighbor actually got kidnapped or something. I don't know what it was. It was a news thing. And he was talking about there's two kids running around his house, around on his lawn, running on one of those battery powered like giant Jeeps, for kids. It's like a little Jeep that they can drive themselves, battery powered to charge it up. And his kids were driving around on the Jeep on his lawn, and he's like grumping about it. And I'm like, old man Higgins has become a curmudgeon. But he has a right to. It's his lawn, his grass. So, he could go out there and scream and yell, and the kids would go back to the parents, and the parents would go to him and say, "Why'd you yell at my kids?" And he'd be like, "Well, on my camera, there were riding, it'd be like kids running around riding lawnmowers, a go-kart, and just driving around on his lawn." I mean, literally, it was just, to me, I was like, but he has a right to complain, Kids these days need to be punished, to a point, and that's the thing. You gotta punish the children, because of it, And one of my co guild leaders in my guild called last night on Discord. Apparently, the police stopped him. He was punishing his dog. They thought, and he said, well, the dog bit him, and he was, he had damage. The dog harmed him, and it's a Chihuahua. So he says, you either let me discipline my dog or you take the dog away, and I'll go get another Chihuahua. So they left him alone, but he says, they're always harassing him because of the dog, Anyway, so that's what happened there. I went on to the guild to check on my guild last night. I can tell you this, Dinky's always, oh, games are boring. Well, let me put it to this way. Former co-leaders are all working together in another zone. So, I ran into them last night and they thought I was going to run the strike mission. And I was like, no, I'm just looking for the crafting thing. I need the crafting tables. I was jumping from like Lions Arts there, and I was hoping to see where, and stuff. And, the thing is people sit there and say, well, what are you going to do about it? And it's like, look, you got people there that are set on one way. They want everything their way. Like I had a guy ask me last night for doing a hero point train. And co-leader Jawa said, well, it's not what ask what your guild can do for you, but what you can do for your guild. And I said, well, what HPs you need? I can run through map completion with it and get you all of them. All you need is a teleport to friend, which is really sad because I bought a teleport to friend for my friends, right? And my teleport to friend, works. But I bought a couple for them at the gym store, and my guildies left. They just packed up, took all the goodies, and left. So to me, it depressed me to the point where I just don't want to help anyone anymore. So I played this game last night for 8 hours by myself, and I was semi miserable. Chloe looked at me, and she says, "Oh, So Higgins said something about background checks. I guess he's back from his." Mom's dinner. Let me see what he says. I have my email open, so um, so basically Higgins said he uses Google for everything. So that's why the funeral homes apparently don't care. You can win the Mega Millions; it'll come out eventually. And then everyone will come after you. But Higgins, was saying, "Oh, I don't pay." I said, "Yeah, probably he dug a background check on me and found out I'm an innocent weirdo." I mean, literally the innocent weirdo. I know Zoe loves my sense of humor. I think it's funny that she likes my crass sense of humor, but it is funny because I'm the weirdo. I mean, I could give Higgins Chloe's legal name, for example. And I bet you couldn't find anything on it. I've done Google searches on everyone, and it's like there's nothing, no dirt on me. Apparently, there's no dirt on Chloe. So, thing is, it's funny as hell. One guy was saying if you go to certain websites and you do certain things, that so anyways, let's get down with the things because we got two people and they're probably here for prepping. So if you're new to the preppers, welcome to my channel. I have a website I'm building. It's called San Juan Island Prepper. I'll give you the link eventually when it's done. So today we're going to be talking about prepping and what you need to prep tool wise with everything you need. Okay, so first of all, let me just say when you're prepping, you got to think of your family, including your fur babies too. And when I say fur babies, I mean pets. I have Ebo here, my little bunny. Hello, Ebs. So his name's Ebs or Ebo. And so you need to make sure you have plenty of rabbit pellets in case something happens. So I always buy it online through like Chewy or Petco or something that sells the deal. And then you say, well, okay, so, pet food. Yeah, always make sure. So I always keep at least 6 months supply in storage room for mopping in case something happens. Chloe's like, oh, I got to buy some. She basically goes and buys the small bags. I buy the 50-pound bags. And the 50-pound bags are pretty heavy. So the UPS and the FedEx, man, hates delivering the large bags, but it has to be. I mean, I bet you if my sister Pee Wee was here, she'd say the FedEx UPS man hates moving 25-pound blocks or bags of kitty litter. But you know what? It's their job, so they don't want to complain. It's not like them carrying a 100-pound, 80-inch TV downstairs and being like, "It's on a back," So you need dog food and pet food. And if you have bunny food or rabbits or guinea pigs, whatever you need, take care of your pet's needs. The next thing on the list is get a camp stove. Power goes out, you can leave your window semi cracked open. Of course, the management company frowns on it. I asked the management company the other day, you got to check with your local management company if you're renting an apartment. I said, what if the power goes out? Oh, well, you're going to have to deal without it. So I go hungry because no one can cook. So what if I want to wheel the barbecue upstairs and it's winter time and it's snowing and I got to eat, so I got to fire up a barbecue. I mean, if that's our only option, you're going to have to keep charcoal on hand. I know Higgins is saying, oh, well, I don't like flavored charcoal. But, the problem is the flavor of charcoal is, it's either, you cook or you don't cook. So, basically, I just told Higgins the reason I joked with him about the background check thing is because, honestly, the the thing about the background checks is, funeral homes try to avoid me like the plague. They don't even want to call me back. I mean, so I could have $100 million and I can be like, I want this, and then we'll call back. I mean, literally feels like I'm like the Queen of England, where I gotta have some goon go and call for me because I can't get it done. Makes me feel incompetent. But anyways, back to the story. So, make sure you check your management logs because they don't want you carrying. Say you got a Coleman fuel, right? Stove. You got to either carry white gas or unleaded gas. You think the management company wants to have you store gasoline under your sink or white gas? Not going to happen. Same goes if you're going to do not white gas, but something else. Like propane. They might not want you to carry those little propane cans, so be careful. So if you do have it, make sure you have your cut. And I always carry, if I were any of you, I would spend the additional money and get one propane stove and one dual fuel stove, just in case propane runs out. You can switch to gasoline or Coleman fuel, because once and the other thing is always prep, because you're going to basically see that you're going to need to have more than one stove just in case. The next item on the list besides the stove is battery powered lanterns. And I know you can get battery powered lanterns. You got to buy yourself several surge protectors, with multiple plugs, power strip surge protectors, and then you plug in your things to charge. And always keep them charged in case the power goes out, because once that happens, you're screwed anyway. Look at it. So, you want to make sure you have light, and the other things you want to keep on hand is medications, extra medications, over the counter medications, because medications are going to be harder to get a hold of. Always go and order in the bulk if you can. Amazon, Walmart, and Target. And by the way, and Costco. Unfortunately, Amazon ships, Target ships, Costco ships, Walmart's pickup only. So think about it. Walmart's basically saying we have a worker shortage of our lowest of our seasons. Therefore, you need to pick up everything. And if it's delivered, you can get some delivered, do it. Otherwise, you're going to be going and picking up, and that's where it really gets bad. Hello, Zoe. Yeah. At dinner, yeah. Well, I haven't had dinner yet tonight. I have to figure out what I want for dinner. Do I want mac and cheese to try tonight, or do I want to have my Salisbury steaks or shrimp? I mean, the pork chops came out okay. I ate them up. So my thing is it wasn't too tasty, But I do have some other stuff to eat, I got 2 Hungry Man's, shrimp dinner. I got this shrimp I got to defrost and eat, and then I'm down. Then my meat supply is running low. Payday's Wednesday, so we got 3 days. So I'm having coffee time with Rita, and then super sore and sleepy. Oh, sore. SORE, not SOAR. It sounds like sour. But want to say hello on this beautiful, yeah. And as I told Zoe earlier, the heat is miserable here. I mean, literally, it's 84 degrees and it's humid with 40% humidity. And I just can't believe how humid it is here. I mean, literally. And to me, we're on an island, so all that water should not be like baking off. And they say we don't have climate control. Well, that's the thing. The government's trying to ram down electric cars and something. They win, well, we're going to be really hurting because no one can afford the batteries for these cars. So you're wondering, well, okay, so I got my dog food, my pet food, and my other things. What do? Buy 2 to 4 coolers. You're going to need an extreme cooler. And make sure if you have a chest freezer, if you don't have a chest freezer, buy a chest freezer. Buy 2. You can allocate 1 chest freezer to buy. If you have the finances, buy a bagged ice. In case the power goes out, you can use the bagged ice in your freezer. Now, your freezer stuff's got to be eaten by 2 days. That's why they say don't stockpile it. Because the power goes out, you're literally screwed. So that's why we say, for example, okay, let me put it this way, all right? Let me give you an example. Say Brother Higgins buys a lot of sausages, right? say he's got like 50 packs of better cheddars. He loves better cheddar, so I'm just giving an estimate. He's probably got more than that. He's probably got 100 packages. So his freezer is crammed with packages. Then he's got like, say 30 boxed pizzas, right? So if you're sitting there and the power goes out, he's in Michigan, so, somewhere in Michigan, I can't tell you where, confidential, I'm a minister, and the power goes out. First thing you're going to do is you're going to look at your food inventory from your mind. You don't tap into your freezer at all because your freezer's turned off, okay? So everything's in there is going to stay frozen. But first you look at it and you say, okay, what am I going to cook? Well, if you have a cook stove and you can do it, you can sit there and say the corned beef's got to go. So what you do is you set it up on a stove. Pump your Coleman fuel up and hope like hell on low it comes to boil. And then you cook it slowly for several hours, So tomorrow will be chill again downtown. Chill or chilly? So tomorrow will be chill again downtown. I don't get it. So you mean the weather's going to be colder? Here it's 84, so we're in like miniature heat wave, And it's the humidity, so so the next thing I want to say is is when you prep, you don't want to stockpile a lot of meats because the meats will have to be eaten first. So what you do is you turn around and you skip the meat prepping and you go straight to canned stuff. Anyhow. Oh, well, that's good. We're on an island, so I haven't turned my scanner on today, so I had a low last night. My friend was like, "Oh, you're monitoring the police channel?" Yep. So, anyway, so the next thing I want you to think about for your tools, okay? For your tools, we're not even getting into the food, but we'll get to the food. Well, let's get food out of the way because that's very important. What you want to stockpile is beans and rice in buckets if you can. You get buy your beans and your rice in buckets. You also buy and store away your honey and your molasses. The honey and molasses can be used in the beans. Now, again, remember, if you have a Coleman stove and you're using this, just remember the coolers to keep your food cold. The second thing is if you stock too much of one item in your freezer, you're going to have trouble if there is a power outage. For example, like I said, we're going to give Higgins, for example, him and his better cheddars would go bad. You can't just sit there and cook up 50 packs of better cheddars and then start eating them in 4 days. The food would go bad. Another thing you could do, okay, is if you know what you're doing, Higgins could do this if he had the money. And if his retro check came in, I highly recommend it if you're watching this, Higgins, which he isn't, and this is a big tool thing for prepping. I want you guys to know this now, okay? I'm not just sitting here throwing out names, okay? For power outages, if you're really worried about power outages, okay, buy yourself a sealing device that seals your food up and packages it and seals it so your food doesn't go bad, right? If you have 50 packages of better cheddars, okay, Pee Wee, or not Pee Wee, bless Pee Wee's heart, love Pee Wee dearly. Zoe knows probably, then doesn't realize this. If you have a balcony, talk to your management if you're in an apartment. If you have a house, make sure no one sees it. And if you do use it, make sure to monitor it. Buy yourself an electric or pellet-felled smoker. You can smoke your fish. You can smoke those sausages. Once you smoke them for a long time and seal them up, those smoked sausages are considered dry. Why do you think they smoked bacon back then? You sit there and you basically go to the smokehouse because the bacon was already cured. You just slice off. When we were sitting around, okay, when we were in Australia, we prepped. And when we prepped for the bush, we always took long life bacon. Check it out. Google it. So you can get long life bacon. Long life bacon, you know. Damn it. Long life bacon you can buy, right? So basically, yeah, you know. So basically, so you want to basically uh, long life bacon. You take any piece of meat that you have, say your better cheddars, your jalapeno cheddars, your corned beef, and what you do is you basically smoke it if you can. Now, if you can't smoke it, there is other ways of doing it. It just means your electric bill goes through the roof a bit, and you can basically make jerky out of your meat by basically making all your meat jerky that you buy and keep jerky on hand. It's still protein. Fortunately, it just takes a lot longer and more money on your electric bill. But if you do have access to a smoker, you can smoke it. Now, here, the management won't let me put a smoker outside due to the fact they think smoke's going to discolor the walls. And if I put it in the parking lot, they think someone will steal the smoker. So, one of the things you want to do is you can smoke your own meats, your own cheeses, your own everything. So, that's one of the tools I highly recommend for prepping is smoking your meats. Next on the list is, like I said, canned and dry goods, as Zoe said. You want beans, you want rice, you want extra teriyaki and soy sauce, or barbecue sauce if you prefer barbecue sauce mixed in with your rice. To stretch your meals out, you can use 1 can of soup with water or milk, depending. Say, for example, you buy a couple cases of tomato soup. You can take 2 cans of tomato soup, mix it all together with milk, and then drizzle the soup in with some rice. So you can have tomato rice soup or chicken and rice soup. Just throw in your chicken base and, or whatever, do it that way. You can make chicken rice. I mean, the rice combinations are endless if you know what you're doing. And that's the thing. You want dry goods. I mean, literally, you want your beans. Now, you want baked beans, you want pork and beans, you want dry beans, and the dry beans will help you with your protein too. The only thing is I always say stockpile Beano too if you need to. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. You want to keep extra Brita filters on hand. And if you have a military grade or a certain type of giant jug like this, it looks like a coffee maker. What you do is you basically it has filters and it'll filter 3,000 gallons of water at a time before you change the filter. They're expensive though. They're like $300, but those are the tools you're going to want to use. Now, the other tool you want to use if there is a nuclear war, civil war, bank collapse, stock market collapse, and everything else is you want to basically be prepared. But the other thing is, oh, yeah, oh, wow, they're using boat 3 this time. They must be transporting a prisoner. When they do the hours, they usually do that.
He's been dropped off in District 2. 1732.
So, another tool you want besides your dry goods is canned meats. Now, some of you guys sit there and you say, well, I was looking at Keystone meats and they're so expensive. You don't get Keystone meats, you get what you can afford. And you stretch your meals out. You don't need to eat meat every day. Think of a cured meat, okay, or a canned meat, for example. You sit there, right? And I'm going to do the Higgins thing for once, okay? Think of the cured meat that you buy in a can. How much salt is in it? I mean, you do have, and the other thing is always carry extra Ziploc bags. Don't buy one box. Buy yourself as many boxes as you can and keep them stored away until you truly need them because that's where you're going to zip up your extra food and put it in your cooler if there is no power. Remember, you don't want to access your freezers. You don't want to access your refrigerators unless you have to. That means you're relying on your cooler to be your freezer. The only time you get into your freezer to open it is if you need to switch ice out. And that's if you use one freezer directly for ice. But then your ice will melt anyways, and your entire bottom of your freezer will be completely wet and waterlogged. So you got to basically rotate out. That's why I say 2 coolers minimum, 4 coolers maximum. But then again, you also got to remember that the dry goods will be lasting a lot longer than the meat. Some people say, well, I prepped with a whole cow. Well, think of what happens with the whole cow when the whole cow expires with no power for 2+ days, and you're thinking you got it. I mean, look. And the other thing is you need to look at canned meats. Now, another thing I was talking to Zoe last night is you can get some really good deals on a case of Danish hams or Goya hams or Goya lunch meats or Armor lunch meats. You just don't need to limit yourself to Spam. You can also limit yourself to, Goya lunch meats and hams and other things. Problem is, once people realize that those meats are out there, they're gonna go for it. A lot of people don't like the Goya ham or the Goya lunch meat or the Armor lunch meat. Now, there's another thing that me and Pee Wee talked about many times privately. Bless Pee Wee's heart, love her dearly. She emails me some links from time to time. I do watch them, but thing is, I'm not going to get involved in the political spectrum of this channel. This is about prepping right now because that's all we can do. Is there's something coming down the pipe, and I need to get my people that believe in my channel, my followers, as I call it, my flock, as a reverend and ordained minister, my flock, my people, to realize prep. I mean, literally, there's something coming down the pipe. I just said it could be nuclear war, it could be civil war, it could be banking reset and collapse. It could be the stock market. I mean, it could be an EMP power burst, which we lose all our power. So that is why I'm telling you to prepare for the worst. Now, I just gave you a lot of ideas for canned meats, but remember what I say. So remember the other thing. Some people don't like sardines. Some people don't like kippered snacks. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there because I don't know what Zoe likes, but some people stockpile kippered snacks and sardines like my uncle. Some people stockpile mini cans of anchovies. I mean, think of what people are doing. Sardines and anchovies, kippered snacks. Some like Vienna sausages. I mean, yeah. And then some like those stockpiling those little smoked beanie weenies. You get like a little 8-ounce count of beanie weenies, and they throw in maybe like half a hot dog in it, and they call it beanie weenies. I mean, literally. I mean, those are really good if you can stomach the little hot dogs, which the hot dogs are mostly little Vienna sausages, anyways. Yeah. Well, look, Zoe. I'm just saying, there's people out there in the world that can stomach it. I mean, look, I like a good tuna sandwich once in a while. I told you this. But the other thing is stockpile your canned meats. Unfortunately, you can eat canned meats like smoked fish, chicken, and turkey, and other canned goods without bread. The thing is the problem is the pricing. The pricing, you got to basically look at what you can afford. Me, this coming month, I'm picking up buckets of beans and rice. I mean, with what I'm making a budget of $250, and I'm going straight to buy everything I need. Well, yes, but let me just remember what I just said, honey bun. What happens if your freezer fails? Are you gonna eat every? Say you take a whole ham, everyone, like Zoe said. You smoke it, you cure it, you freeze it. The power goes out, and they say they don't know when the power. Let's just say there's a massive power outage around the country. Okay, which could happen. That's one of their talks they're talking about, right? Because the energy grid and everything else, right? Also, Zoe says, "Oh, I think I'm gonna have some honey ham." Goes into the freezer, but didn't realize the stockpile a cooler for, like I said, you can buy a Coleman Extreme coolers for $40. Buy 4 of those for 160. Keep ice on hand in one freezer and basically just rotate it. And if you have to, if the store still got generators, you should go get a couple extra bags of ice and keep everything frozen, because if you keep too much stuff that's frozen in your freezer, your frozen foods will be going bad. Remember, your freezer can only hold 2 days of coldness before it starts to go bad. Yes, I have 3 turkeys I got to cook. Anyways, that's the thing. Another thing you can do is if you have a smoker, you can smoke the whole damn turkey. And once the meat's fully smoked, you cut it up in sections, strip the meat off, keep the bones, cook the bones in a soup, and you can freeze the soup base. But like I'm saying, you got to be careful at how much meat you have frozen, because once your freezer goes, or not freezer, but once your power goes, you're screwed. And then people say to me, well, Rita, what do you recommend for communications? Good question. We'll get to that. But also, you got to also make sure that if you're going to basically keep snacks on hand to keep your sugar high level, always keep some crackers. Crackers will help you. It's got some salt. So if your heats out, the electric grid goes out and it's sweltering, just remember a little water and a little salt will help you out. The salt will replenish your lost electrolytes. Also, if you can, keep in the refrigerator or keep in your cooler. If you buy it by the bulk, as always, keep Gatorade and Powerade stored away and put them in the cooler as needed to keep you recharged. Another thing is like Zoe said, water purification filters and etc. Another thing you might do is if you do is you go and spend $60 to $100. Get one of these. That's called a hydro flask. As long as it's in a cooler and you put ice in it and you fill the entire thing with ice, the ice will slowly melt. And as it's melting, you'll have drink to drink, which is ice cold. This is in the fridge, so it's ice cold. The other one's in the fridge. I had to refill it. I drank this up last night because it was too damn hot. Another thing is this. Now, some of you said to me, Rita, I need help with the emergency milk. Okay, the emergency milk's going to be a little different because milk's getting harder and harder to get a hold of. What you want to do is you want to get condensed milk or evaporated milk, or you want to get stuff that's long life shelf milk, ultra heat treated milk, which you can buy in little like milk things with the little straws. That'll help you too. You just cut open a little section of the corner of it. Don't use the straw, or if you use the straw, drop the straw and start pumping your milk into your coffee. And that's the other thing. People say to me, well, what do you do in an emergency with coffee? Okay. That is simple. If you have your camp stove, you buy yourself a percolator. Percolator will work as good as anything. Now, for teas, as an emergency, as long as you have your cook stove, you can use a tea kettle. 5 to 10 minutes on the cook stove or the camp stove, you can have hot tea. And always keep tea on hand. That's another thing. Keep tea on hand. That's the thing. You need to keep your tea on hand at all times. Tea. So buy a box or two of tea, 100 bags at a time. Your favorite teas, and use that with milk. Milk and honey. That's why you want to keep honey on hand. Molasses, if you need to make baked beans and make 3 days of baked beans at a time on your cook's thing. Oh, and another prepping tool that I highly recommend that people don't look over besides Ziploc bags is, are you ready for this? It's always like probably writing everything down. Tupperware containers. Airtight sealed containers with deep enough bowls that you can turn around and put all your cooked meals like your beans in it, throw it in your cooler if the power's out, and then when you're ready to have another bean meal, you just basically pull your beans out of it, reheat it on the stove with a little bit of water so it makes the moisture so it doesn't stick to the pot. Then you turn around and you get it done. Now, another thing I recommend is stockpiling dish soap. You're going to need dish soap in the daytime to do your dishes. So you want to cook during the light because you want the natural light to come in. Because at night, you don't want to cook with lanterns if you can't help it. Another thing that's really good is the Tupperware containers. Like I said, you seal it up, throw it in the cooler, and then you just, you heat it up. Now, someone said to me, well, what do you do with beans? Well, there's a secondary tool you can use for prepping that would really help you if you're in a pickle. And this is, you can buy them for like $60 to $80. I know, I'm basically telling you all about prepping. And one of it is a little oven like this. There's a little cook oven, or you can buy a cook stove that has the built-in oven on the bottom. It looks like a miniature home stove, but it runs on propane. And what you do is you just pop it open. If you have one of those, now, mind you, if you have one of those, you're semi-saved to a point. So, for example, say you smoked all your better cheddars, and you smoked everything in your freezer, and the only thing left is your pizzas. Well, if you cook up your pizzas and put them in a Ziploc bag, and then a gallon-sized Ziploc bags, all your pizza, and have one freezer devoted for pizza. You eat those pizzas down, then you can use the oven. Same goes with your TV dinner. Power goes out, You fire up your propane oven stove combo for camping. Start cooking these down. If you have TV dinners, if you have 2 TV dinners, there's your dinner. You don't think twice. Just cook them down before they go bad. And you go from there, because you have to do it. And just another prepping tip is this. If you do have fuel and you're allowed to stockpile your Coleman fuel by the case, make sure that you basically rational it because you don't know when the power's coming back on. And so everyone else is going to be flocking to sporting goods stores, gas stations, grocery stores, you name it, sucking up everything. So you want to make sure that when they are panic buying, you're at home with your door closed and locked. Now you could say communications. There's a thing I'm going to tell you about communications, but we're not talking done about prepping. So you need, if you have the money, get yourself a smoker. If you have the money, get yourself a stove with an oven. Otherwise, buy the oven attachment, put it on top of the burner, and cook your things. They can do it where you can actually cook up to a whole glass pie pan in the this metal oven. I wouldn't recommend glass pan though in a metal oven, but it's whatever float your boats. So I wouldn't recommend that. But my point is, think about it. These are tips that people don't even think about. They say, "Oh, prep this and prep that," but also, you want to look at MREs if you can. You want to look into freeze-dried foods. You want to look into Mountain House. You want to look into other things. Now, if you don't eat eggs, okay, here's the kicker. If you don't eat eggs, you don't bake with eggs. You don't need powdered eggs. Powdered eggs. If you like eggs, buy your powdered eggs. If you don't buy it, don't. Another thing is if you have that little oven, you can make bread. Fortunately, some people don't think about that. But, the other thing is if you have a Coleman camp stove, you can also buy the Coleman drip coffee pot there too. It's like $80. You just put it under there, turn your burner on, and you fill the water up first. Put your coffee grounds in just like that drip coffee pot you see me use all the time here on the channel. And you set it on top of this camp stove. And you fire up your camp stove, if it's propane or Coleman gas, white gas, or unleaded gas, and you just let it cook. And then as it's heating up the pot there, it's heating up the little device. The device is heating, and it's auto draining, or it's a self-feed system where it drips the coffee into your pot, so you have dripped coffee if you don't want to go the percolator route. But always keep a percolator also on hand in case you want to do that. Another thing you could do is an emergency jamming situation if you're really hurting and you need it, right? 1, you take this, like this. 2, you could take this, the filter, right? And you can put your coffee grounds in the filter with this. Another tip I'm sharing with you. And you put the filter on top of the coffee pot lid. Now, all you need to do is take a tea kettle that you boil up, right? Say you got a tea kettle that holds like 20 gallons of water. Or not 20 gallons, sorry. 12 to 20 cups of water. That's what I meant to say, correct me. And then you boil it completely, and then you pour the coffee water into the filter, and you let the filter go down. And as you're watching it go down, you refill it, and then eventually you have your dripped coffee that way. That's another alternative if you don't want a percolator. It just means your coffee filter will, but that means that your party in your house will have fresh dripped coffee. Unfortunately, it might be scalding hot due to the fact that you use boiling water, but mostly coffee is already water anyways. The only difference is as the pump works in the drip maker, it drips it down and goes into the filter, and the filter fills up with water, and then makes like a little dam and like mud. And as you're dripping it, it drips into the bottom, and the bottom heats up. So anyway, look at it, you still get your drip coffee. That's another option. So always stockpile coffee condiments for your coffee, your sugar, your creamer. Creamer is a must if you drink creamer. Another thing you want to do is always prepare for all contingencies. Now you're saying, okay, we got all this. What are the other tools we need? Well, like I said, always look for the stuff that your family will eat. They eat Doritos, you buy Doritos. They eat goldfish like I'm going to throw this out here as a joke. Please just take it as a sense of humor. The future wifey's Zoe there. She likes goldfish, so my goldfish would all be. I'd be restocking goldfish weekly if she was snacking. Yeah, I threw that in there as a joke, okay? Don't take it, Another thing is I always keep ramen in hand. Ramen is easy. It's not nutritious for you, but you can also cut up some of that meat that Zoe was talking about, that canned Danish ham, and throw in a little piece or two. That will help you get your nutrition. You get your soup, but you also get your ramen. Now, if that's one thing you can do. You can also do, if you have the smoked meats, drain the oil out of the sardine can and then throw a sardine or two like Chloe does. She'll make up a fish soup out of the ramen. Another thing is always keep mashed potatoes on hand, because gravy packs will help you. You can have mashed potatoes one night for dinner. Throw in a little piece of ham or two. You're good to go. Ham and mashed potatoes. Ham's cheap. It's already canned. Mashed potatoes, all it takes is a few things, and all you do is clean. Another good staple in your household you always want to keep an eye on is peanut butter. Always keep peanut butter, because you can make toast with it, sandwiches with it. Your dry goods are always stuff that you want to make sure you have. Always also, if you're a prepper, always make sure you have your comfort foods, the stuff you like. Now, for me, of course, that would be macaroni and cheese. I keep mac and cheese and ramen on hand at all times. Raviolis, that's another thing. If you can find raviolis by the case, this stuff makes a good meal. Make a overstuffed raviolis. That's something that you really want to prepare for. Other things is, if you go to the food bank for your prepping needs, like some people have to go there, they give you green beans and canned corn and stuff, and you say, well, what am I going to do with this? Simple. You basically can sit there in a power outage with your little camp stove, throw a can of corn, can of green beans, a little bit of diced ham in, throw it all together, and if you have your cookbook with you, you can make yourself a simple but easy soup. Think of it. You're not going to be limited to cooking. You're just basically doing what needs to be done. You see, you can do the prepping. Now, you guys asked me, what about communications? Communications are going to be very important now. If you have family near you, you want to get a walkie-talkies. Walkie-talkies, or build yourself a base station radio. Basically, it's a CB radio plugged into walkie-talkies, because your power is going to be out. So unless you have a generator, which we'll talk about generator backup, okay? Fortunately, a generator and power outage needs is going to be really worse for you guys, because I'll tell you a couple of reasons why you don't want a generator if you can help it. Now, you can buy battery banks, like, these big blocky battery banks you charge at home. It takes a lot of time to charge them and power them up, but once you do, it's like a universal backup system, a UBS. The problem with it is, once the UBS runs out of battery, your electronics are dead. So you want to make sure that if you have a UBS, you want to make sure, now you could say, oh, well, power outage, I'll just use my phone, text. How do we know the phone towers are going to be powered? Eventually, let's just say, for example, the phone towers are powered, right? Let's just say there was a nationwide zap out, right? First of all, your towers are going to be down. And if they are running a generator, someone might just find a way to take bolt cutters, break into the tower where the generator is, unplug the tower, take the generator, and hope like hell there's enough gas to run the generator, because they did that. So that's why, some people already are preparing for stuff like that. So you got to make sure your generator's bolted down, huge enough, big enough, they can't just walk out with it. But phones would be used for an emergency only. Now, every year I spend X amount of money, and every few years, I upgrade the phone. I get a new battery and etc. They don't usually update the phone that often, but, one of the things we keep in a hard case in the back that I'm not going to tell you guys but once, and I've said this once before, it's always probably going to be sitting there shitting gold bricks about now, is it's called an idiom or iridium. So I think it's iridium. It is called a satellite phone. Satellite phone will work, but you better basically use it as an emergency only. So, for example, you use a walkie-talkie, you get 40 channels. Unless you have got a ham license and you can use a handheld ham radio, you're screwed. The hammers are going to tell you exactly what's going on in the world if you can get, what's going on, because the ham radio is going to be your first news article. Now you could say, well, what about a portable TV? I need to get one for prepping. Well, if you guys are following me so far, if the power's out, for example, we're using that as an example today. Do you think your portable TV is going to work? Yes. Your kid's going to want to hook up his game system and plug it into the battery bank. You're going to want to watch the news, and the news ain't going to come on unless they use the generators at the news stations specifically for the news, for the people that have the portable TVs. Otherwise, it's going to be useless. And then you say, oh, well, I'll use my laptop and check online. Again, if you guys are hearing me, the power is out, right? That means the servers are out. What do you think? They're going to maintain your servers so you can log in and to get your news? I mean, come on. You got to think you need to think ninth dimensionally. It ain't going to happen. Or fourth dimensionally. You see. Yeah, exactly, like that. You can always get that long-term cheese, like Fritos or salsa con queso. That's really good too. If you're really in a pinch, you get yourself several bags of tortilla chips. Keep them on hand. Rotate tortilla chips out and use the queso as you need it. Queso can last up to like 18 months or so. So just pop the can, open it. When you're done, throw it in the cooler. I mean, literally, you got a lot of different meal ideas we're coming up with for you guys today. But the main thing is you want to make sure you have water. And then you say, well, what about other things? Well, for example, if you have a gravity-fed or you live in an area where you are on land or have a well, your pump might not work. Your power ain't out. So some people say, oh, well, we'll just get a generator for it. Well, if you live in the boondocks, the generator might be your best bet. But if you're not in the boondocks, the thing is, someone might just steal your generator because you left it out to power your TV. Which means unless you have one guy manning the generator with earphones and watching, the noise canceling headphones so you don't hear the noise of the engine of your generator, and you're running it, say, wherever that thing. But as soon as you have apartment complex and everyone's like driving away, and you go upstairs to a point away, the manager might just say you can't run that because, it's too noisy. Well, you're running a weed whacker and weed whacking. What's the difference? Well, the neighbors are complaining because it's noisy, plus the fact that they can't use it. And then the manager might try to make a deal with you to share. And you don't want to overload your generator just because every fucker out there wants to use it. So be careful with what you do. Frito scoops, yep. Yeah, exactly. Jarred salsa runs really well, long-term use. Get salsa too. You can also make different things. The thing is, also, if you have a freezer, you might want to freeze as an emergency bread substitute is tortillas. They freeze, they defrost, you can slap peanut butter on it, you can put some canned meats in it, you can put some salsa in it, make a cheap-ass burrito, and it'll be filling easier than basically sitting around trying to heat up everything too. That's the other thing. So you got to basically make sure you get what you get, and that is something you always want. Another thing in your kit you want is bouillon cubes. You can always make a broth out of that and then throw in some canned meats and make soup. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about tortillas. They're just like, oh, you need to prep. But I'm giving everyone the ideas, now because, it's and so if you have a portable TV, unless the news agency has the generators, you ain't getting to see anything on television. So your next kit tool is going to be, is this. If you don't have one because you're a newer generation dumbass in the world like a millennial, you might want to go down and spend a few dollars and buy one of these. They're a few dollars. This will open up. I have 4 of these. These will open your goods. Now, unless and highly trained, this is your best way to do it. Always keep a can opener at hand in an emergency. Even keep one brand new unopened as an emergency. Now, if you sit there and say, well, is there any alternatives? Yes, you can get yourself a Swiss Army knife, but you better know how to use the can opener because the can opener is very hard to use in these little knives. I use this for fishing. You can see it's got a fish. It's called fisherman. I also have the angler. But this tool here is my everyday use for most things. You can use the knife to cut your meats. If that's all you have, I highly recommend if you do have a kitchen knife blocks and knife set in the block, use your knives first, wash them out, rinse them, dry them, etc. Also, as a backup, if you have a dishwasher, always keep in your prepped kit a strainer. You can say, what's a strainer? A strainer is where you put your wet dishes and let them air dry, and all that water goes down the damn sink. That's something you might need in case of prepping. Now, another thing is always keep certain things on hand for skills. This has everything from pliers to screwdrivers to can openers, everything you need, and bottle openers, you name it, it has it. This has been with me for like 30 plus years. It's called the Champ. It has everything you need. You can get them affordable, but this is something that I highly recommend you carry with you during a thing. This thing will be better than freaking carrying a boot knife. I've told you guys this time and time again. Or this. Or the other one. I got the camper with the tent on it. Now, if you really are thinking about carrying something big knife-wise, then you might want to carry something like this. This is basically a knife, corkscrew, and my mom's, and a bottle opener. So if you don't want to dig out a bottle opener, always keep this near your other tools, like I do, in case you want to have a Pepsi or Coke that's got a bottle on it. Hopefully you don't, because in the pandemic you won't be thinking about a bottle opener. Another thing is you keep talking about knives. You're like, oh, well, what if I need this? I keep this as a backup knife, just in case. This knife has been with me since I was 10 years old, okay? Razor edge, made in America. This is the only knife you need for cutting apples, peeling oranges, peeling onions, etc. This does it all, and you don't need to carry something large. Carrying something large is basically thinking you're going to use for self-defense. Again, self-defense will be coming soon. Communications. You want walkie-talkies. You also want a scanner. That's all right. You can buy a basic analog scanner that will scan 40,000 channels. Plug in your keep batteries on hand. That's another thing you need in your prepping kit is batteries. This thing sucks up batteries. So if your base station scanner doesn't work, your scanner will work. So you always keep that on hand. And if you can't afford it, get a digital because it'll pick up both things. You can also listen to the police news. That'll tell you more information on prepping. Not prepping, an emergency situation, literally. For example, say Zoe goes and buys herself a scanner, all right, and joins the scanner for a Mime Wish. Let's just say comes there and she says, "Oh, my name is Zoe. I don't know what to get," and they she gives her a zip code. Well, we know it's Cooks County. That's all I'm going to tell you. She's somewhere in Chicago. Okay, we don't need to know her address. It's none of her fucking business. I wouldn't tell it anyway. It was ordained and stuff. But they say, well, you can't listen to the local police in that area because it's encrypted. It doesn't mean she can't pick up if she's on, say, the 4th floor or 6th floor, 8th floor of her apartment complex. Let's just say she's in a high rise, okay? And she's got a patio. I'm just going to give her as an example because I can use Zoe's example. She goes and says, I want a scanner, okay? First of all, she's on the high floor, okay? She's got 2 advantages that we don't. She could buy herself a booster antenna for her radio, her walkie-talkie, plug it in outside as an emergency. But if she doesn't have a power outage and something else happens, like civil war, nuclear war, etc., and she needs communications, her best bet is on that higher floor is to have a base station radio too, base station CB, which means she can plug it in, have the booster antenna on her porch, which isn't that big, that boosts out, right? And she can have 2 antennas. She can have one for the scanner and one for the radio. Let's just say she has a base station scanner, a portable scanner, a portable handheld scanner, and then she has a CB radio scanner built in. And the CB radio with the scanner built in is set so it'll scan one trunking system while the other scanners scan the other. So you can even have a 3rd antenna for the mobile one as long as she keeps feeding batteries to it, right? So picture her doing this in Chicago. All she's got to do is, as long as there's no power outage, for example, she could use the handheld CB radio for any other disaster, and the CBers will give her the information she needs without even needing to find a portable TV to use, because say the power doesn't go out, but you have other problems, like a famine and food's being sucked up and you can't get much. She can literally not talk to people about her food supplies, but she could sit there and listen into the radio tracker from the CBers, the truckers, and anyone else while analyzing it. And then you say, well, how's the scanner work if she's in Cooks County? Because The surrounding areas of Cooks County with the CB boost can go all the way for several hundred miles. So she picks up people or traffic in, say, down south, that's analog slash digital, and they're all trunking. So say Chicago is completely in the dark. No one knows what's going on, police, fire, and EMS. But between east, west, north, and south, she's picking up everything, even in Canada. She's picking up the Canadian waves. She's picking up the southern waves. She's picking up east and west waves. That's when she realizes that everything isn't digital. She can listen to people in other suburbs that aren't encrypted, and they will say, which by the way is funny because get this. If there was a power outage and they were using the generator, the police would first suck up every gasoline drop they can because they would want to keep their radios encrypted. Now, say Zoe goes down to get some Coleman fuel and the police sucked it all up. And she's like, hey, and they're like, sorry, we're the law. We need it for ourselves. That they could do that. But if Zoe prepares Earth sooner, she won't have to worry. But they're more worried about the gasoline running the generator if the power goes out to run the encrypted so that you don't know. But if there is no encrypted, and eventually they will have to break out their emergency gear when the digital encryption's gone, because they can't basically use everything mobile. Trust me, everything takes power. What happens? They go back to non-encrypted, which means then Zoe sits back on her tower with her booster and goes, oh, Chicago PD is now talking. Oh, and FEMA too. You can tune into FEMA too. FEMA has their own nationwide radio channel. So if the power was completely out, FEMA would be talking. Say what the Department of Homeland Security is doing with others. You see where I'm going with this? Basically, it is basically an interesting concept. I think Chloe just threw Moppy out again. Here, let me show you something, Zoe, honey. Don't be sad. I'm going to help you as usual. Besides that, I'm still waiting for a birthday present. Haven't seen a scanner yet. Come on, I got to throw it in there, okay? Here. I'm going to give you 2 links, honey pie. Okay. Give me a second. See, I help Zoe because I'm the nicest person in the world. You're like, yeah, I'm buying a knife. No, you're not buying a knife. You're buying the wrong knife, honey pie. That's the thing. You're not buying the right knife. Zoe's sitting there going, oh, but no. See, look. There, you see? And if that doesn't work, little miss, then try this one. There. Look. Did I just give you the versions? I just did. See? And if you want another version, I'll give you one last version. There you go. See? And then the last one is this one. You see? Now go take a look at them. Yeah, you see? And they have that one. And then this one is the last one, the Champ. The one I was talking about. It has all the tools. And that's like 70. But still, the one with the fish is different. I think there's one called the Soldier, if I'm not mistaken, I think that one has a shield only on it. I think. I haven't seen it in a long time. So, Nope. No, that's the Farmer. Yeah, it doesn't. That's not the one I liked. I think the one I liked had a special shield on it. Yeah, so it doesn't show it anymore. They don't make them anymore. Out of Seattle. I don't remember what it is, but I have another one. It's in the safe. It's the Soldier. It's got a shield on it. Yeah, well, the fish is cool. That's why it's called the angler and the fisherman, because the fisherman and the angler, there's only one difference in the fisherman and the angler. The angler has one tool where the fisherman has the other tool. See, the fisherman has this. You sit there and say, well, what's the fisherman have that the angler doesn't? I'll show you. See? Scissors. Has scissors, toothpick, and tweezers. Tweezers fell out. It has a small knife, large knife. See, it's got the small knife, the scissors here. Small knife. Well, you see the description anyway. Small knife, large knife. It has the screwdriver and bottle opener.
205.
And then it has the
Are we clear? Warning speed.
another screwdriver.
18.
See? And then it has one other tool. Oh, it has the fish, the other thing, which I'll show you. See? And this. The fish scaler. See? A little saw and scale. So it goes up to scaling up to 6, And this is also a de-hooker. So you can remove the hooks from the thing here. See? The tip. Yeah. And then you got, like I said, the small blade. Now, on the other side, you're probably thinking, oh, that's interesting. The other side has some other stuff. These are sharp, so you got to be very careful. I keep my blades very sharp because they say they help me. And sometimes you got to make sure you don't bend the scissor part, which I got to fix now. There we go. See? And you make sure it doesn't rust either. So, then on this side, you have a screwdriver and another tool, see? And then some of them, they come with sewing iron reamers. So you can get a sewing needle too, built in. I think it's this side. It's got the sewing needle. Yeah, I believe this is the sewing needle if you get my drift. So some of them sewing needles. So Higgins is at home or is at his mom's having dinner. Last time Higgins emailed me, he was grumpy. He showed me a video of 2 kids on one of those battery-powered Jeeps driving on his lawn. He's like, old man Higgins is basically cursing. He showed me an actual video from his mailbox cam. And then he goes into details why he wouldn't basically waste his money on background checks or waste his money complaining to the police about 2 little kids riding around on a battery-powered Jeep. Oh, yeah. Well, the crackers are good. That's another thing that preppers need to know is always get crackers. Whatever crackers you like. I like fish crackers. I like Keebler club crackers. Keebler makes some really good club crackers. Yeah, grumpy old Higgins. Yeah, that was about it. I emailed him and said curmudgeon. So these are the tools that you want to keep on hand. Now, I could get into my safe, but I don't want to. But the thing is, you don't need a boot or sheath knife unless you really need to carry a knife with you, and I don't recommend it. Now, I don't know if I can even get into the safe due to the fact that I think the key went missing. That was my downfall. The key went missing. I don't know where the key went, so sorry to say. It was here, but now it's gone. Oh, is this the other knife? Yes. Now, for example, here's a knife I could share with you, okay? This is a backup knife, okay? Now, you don't need to carry a knife like this unless you're out fishing. Now, you can say, well, why is that? Simple. This knife is used, sharp as hell, for filleting. See the serrated blade there? So this is a knife you only want to use for filleting fish. You don't want to use a knife for anything else. It's like a pirate cutlass, but it's designed specifically for filleting fish if you're a fisherman. Now, you say, well, I'm a hunter. Well, if you have a tag, it's fine, and you have your knife. But if for some of you you're thinking you're going to poach a deer, you need to field dress it within 20 minutes before maggots get into your food. Yeah, so anyways, I don't even know where my thing went. Oh, hold on a sec, peeps. Let me show you this. Give me a moment, because Zoe's probably going to sit there and say, oh, well, yeah, give me a moment. This is important to me, okay? I haven't even opened this up in a long time. You guys get to hear me open it for once. There. Okay, so there it is. You see, I got so many documents in here, it's not funny. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering, okay, this is what I'm talking about, okay? Hunter's knife or a sheath knife. Waterproof, field tested. They don't make them anymore. It's got the clip belt right here, so if you have a belt, you can clip it to your belt, see? This is a 7-inch knife. It can be used for cutting your meats, cutting everything. It's got a clip point on it. It's very sharp. Oh, which reminds me, opening the safe. Left me some green crap on in my finger. There. So basically, this is the knife that you want. It's made in Japan. They don't make them anywhere. They make a smaller version of this, but this is waterproof, flame-proof, fireproof. This is the only tool you need. You don't need anything bigger than that. For prepping purposes, I always keep this locked up because this is what I call my, you could sit there and get yourself a Rambo knife, right? The problem with the Rambo knife is two things. It's got, and I'm talking a real Rambo knife here. The serrated blade is so serrated that if you get water in it and you can't clean the inside of the teeth, it rusts. This thing is like rust resistant. So, as you can see, this knife's been with me for a long time. This was my field choice knife when I was cutting meats, being homeless in Australia. No one bothered me. I didn't bother them. I did my job. This knife is not even made anymore, but I keep this on hand because, well, that's what I call it, This knife is 440C steel, I believe. I don't remember what it is, but they don't make it anymore. They have some stuff. This is a company out of Edmonds, Washington called SOG. SOG doesn't make this particular brand, but I've filleted fish with this. I've gutted deer with it. I've done everything with it. I'm telling you. You don't need anything bigger than a 7-inch blade. Anything bigger, and it's just basically a show off. You're like Crocodile Dundee saying that's not a knife. This is a knife. This is a knife. And this is basically designed for the military, by the way. This is one of the things I cherish the most in my life is, this. I mean, they don't even make the sheaths anymore, cloth sheaths anymore with these clips. I mean, look at this. See? It's got the little clip. This knife's been in my possession for so long. It's one of the few things in life that I could strap to my leg with a piece of twine and go out to my everyday use with no trouble. You see, this is what I call the ultimate prepping. I have a smaller one of these too, but the smaller one is just to use for everyday field use. So I wanted to share that with you. Another thing is that for prepping purposes, this is something that I haven't talked about. It's always like, I'm learning a lot. Where's my key so I don't lock it into the safe? I don't want to lock the key into the safe. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to close the safe up. There we go. I also keep narcotics in the safe, and I'm talking about Percocet, Depakote, Percodan, etc. And I keep those there because I don't want anyone else getting a hold of them. Another thing for field prepping is this. If you're going to be field prepping and you need I'll talk about bug out bags eventually, but this is perfect to throw on your back and go. If you need something small and lightweight, you can throw in your knife, your phone, a few other items. Look at this. It's basically a multi-layered bag. See? I have two of them. Basically, you could slap your thing here, Velcro can slap in some stuff. It's got the clip. Just slap it on the back like this. And you can use it as an everyday emergency bag too, see? That's another thing. I always keep extra bags on hand for various reasons. Now, another thing you might want to talk about is your needs. Okay, now Zoe, of course, sits there and says, well, I won't touch fish. Well, that's why, honey, you better stockpile a lot of meats, canned meats that you like, because eventually it's going to be when everyone runs out of their canned meats, it's either going to be every man, woman, and child for themselves for fishing, or the population of meat's going to run down. And deer, elk, caribou, moose, bear, mountain goat, sheep, etc. Now, you guys can sit there and say, well, that's cool. No, it isn't. Because once the animals runs out, the population will really dwindle. So you own a gun. You think, oh, cool, it'll keep me safe. Yeah, people that buy guns now, they want to go and use it against others to steal your food. So your best bet is if there's a pandemic or if there is a big problem with no power, no this, no that, you don't leave your house. One person packs a weapon of one choice, another person packs another weapon. Now, for some of you out there that say, well, what do you recommend? Well, I'll tell you. There are several items, but let's get to the other tool. The other tool I highly recommend that is about $200 to $300 if you're really worried about food is this. $160, get yourself a reel. Make sure you get the basic 4 or 5 weight. This is a 5 weight right here. I have 4, 5, and 6 weights. 3 weights and 2 weights are specifically designed for streams. 4-piece, designed to catch your trout. If you're hungry, you'll eat anything, including trout. Trust me, you can deep fry that trout like fish and chips. If you're allergic to fish, well, then don't fish. But this is a tool that I highly recommend for you all. Look at that. For prepping problems, that's what I highly recommend. Yes, exactly. I have plenty of backpacks in the back room. One of the backpacks that we always keep on hand as an emergency is so we have various backpacks for various reasons. One backpack's for one reason, another backpack's for another reason. But just remember, this is not just about survival. This is for your making sure you survive. Now you can sit there and say, well, what about weapons? Well, there's 2 ways of looking at your weapons. One is you go and buy a gun, which is very hard to get a hold of. And you ask yourself, what do you want with the guns and everything else? By the way, I tip my hat off and I give a moment of prayer, by the way. 7 people were severely wounded and the gunman's on the loose in Orlando, Florida. That was today's news, by the way, if anyone cares. Women are pissed. Men are more worried about their guns being taken away than their women being slaves for cooking, cleaning, and baby popping. So think about that. Women are going to the polls. But we're not talking about this right now. We're talking about prepping. Another tool that you want on your toolkit, like I said, is we got smokers, we got knives. Is if you can get a hold of it as self-defense for your home, just make sure you know what you're doing, because I highly don't think Zoe knows what she's doing. Sorry, honey pie. But if you want to use a black powder single-shot pistol, you better know how much Pyrex you put in it, where you put your lead ball, where you put your paper and everything else to put it together to fire it. And you don't keep the damn thing cocked and locked, because you accidentally drop it, the damn weapon goes off. And this is the old black powder pistols. Same goes. Now, if you know what you're doing with black powder rifles and they shoot the lead balls, you're better off getting one of those in self-defense situations. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that and you know how to train yourself with a bow, the bow could be used as a cheaper alternative for a home defense weapon, as long as you know where the target and the sights are. You can basically. Now, if that doesn't work, buy yourself a crossbow with a crank. Just crank the damn son of a bitch up, put it in there, and someone comes through it, the bolt will go through multiple people, and they'll just rip straight through it as self-defense. Don't think about it, and don't think about it unless it comes to it. There's always a way to de-escalate. I don't condone violence. Yeah, probably me. You'll come to me and tell me you got land in Alaska and I'll have to protect you. Mm-hmm. Crossbow is an easy weapon to carry on you. It's 6 pounds. Basically, can shoot between 300 and 450 feet per second. But the The other thing is, if you can get a hold of it, remember I told you most handguns are sold out. So trying to find yourself a two-shot Derringer with a shotgun shell is different. Now, if you get a hold of a used shotgun, you're fine. But most right now, shotguns are hard to get a hold of, and they're sold out. So you got to look at your weapon alternatives. I mean, do you want to beat them with a club? Do you want to beat them with a golf club? Do you want to beat them with a club with nails? Do you want to beat them with a bat? Do you want to basically use a crossbow? Do you want to use a long or short bow? Long bows are easier because it's got one string, so it's easy to replace. Non-traditional archery, so you got to take that into consideration when buying a bow. Yeah, well, I'm not a fighter either, but I'm more of a hermit that likes to be left alone. So if they try coming into my house, there's a problem. I mean, I'm already set up and prepped pretty much. I'm just restocking now. Not a fighter unless pressed or starving. You know, well, you'll never starve. Trust me, you're too beautiful for that. My thing is look around. You know, you got to prep. We don't know what's coming down the pipe. So a lot of people say, I love your pricing. You go through every day. They're getting pissed off. I got some new emails. I got an email that people can use if they want to give me information. One of the emails that I got today was someone was emailing me saying that sucks that everything's pick up at Walmart. Ooh, welfare check.
Go ahead. RP's looking for someone to get in touch with her dad that is at 1128 Islandale Road. Was supposed to be returning home today in the morning. I haven't heard from him. He does drive a dark green Xterra that should be there in the driveway.
Well, yeah, I mean, literally, you're too beautiful to starve. That's the truth. If anyone should starve, it should be me. I mean, look, let me give you an example. The other day, I was pissed off, right? Now, Chloe knows dinner's around 5 o'clock, right? She goes, makes her dinner, goes to her room for 4 hours, and then my stuff's still, and then all the dishes piled up. Then who goes hungry? I've probably gone 5 days this month hungry. Oh well. Not my problem. But anyways, thing is, you gotta basically look at it. It's not my job to clean up the mess either. So the bottom line is you're too beautiful to go hungry. Okay. Me, I can go hungry before anyone else. I always do. Always have. Ugh. Man, it's miserable. So another thing is in your prepping kit is you want to make sure on the milk. You get condensed milk, powdered milk. Powdered milk's getting harder and harder to get a hold of, by the way. They're basically people are sucking it up faster and faster than they can bring it in. So, unless you can buy powdered milk in a bag, I mean, Ziploc it like I have, your powdered milk is going to get harder and harder to get a hold of. Currently, this is a 1 pound box. Usually I get the 2 pound bag, 2 pound so, this one here is different, but you can also buy milk, you got a 5 pound bag right there, but some of this, they don't take what you need to buy it. So you just got to do it. So there's milk alternatives that's pretty cheap, but you don't want a milk alternative because if it's not a whole milk or milk alternative, you just want to make sure you get what you need. Powdered milk is really good or condensed milk or that, whatever. Also, another thing that they do is they have malted milk, and some places have goat's milk powder. Goat milk's pretty tasty too if powdered up. Carnation's not bad at all. So, it just depends on what you're looking for. But if you limit your search and parameters, I got 20 selections. That's it. Non-fat dry milk, non-fat. So basically water in a can. Once you put it back to with the milk and stuff to cool it. Then you got a bucket of milk right here. Non-fat. You can buy a bucket of milk, but you're paying $120, for example. But it's non-fat. So unless you want 2% or whole milk, I like whole milk myself. You got to look down there. All this stuff is, you got malted milk, baking shakes and sundaes. You got evaporated milk, and then you got malted milk in a jar. So technically, you're looking at, you know, evaporated milk or condensed milk. So you got to look at what you can get, and that's the thing. And you say, "Oh well, I'm good." Really? Well, let me put it to you this way: if you're so good, people, because you sit there and say, "Well, I'm good, I'm great," right? Well, if you're that great, right? And even Goya makes milk, but Goya's sweetened condensed milk is you get 24 of them, very expensive. So you got to look at your supply and demand for you know like Eagle brand, you can pack 4. Goya milk's pretty good. Carnation sweetened condensed milk. You just got to look at what you can and can't get, and evaporated milk, um, condensed milk, fat free. Don't like fat free milk. Um, and so forth and so on. And then you get evaporated milk too in the can. You stockpile what you can there. So basically, for example, the evaporated milk will come in. So you look around and you say, okay, I want this or I want that. And they'll sell it to you. But the thing is you gotta basically look at it from, you know, what you're going to buy and how much you're going to carry it. Because you got to remember, if you have that cooler, your milk's going to be fine. But once you open the can up to pour your evaporated milk into your coffee, for example, you're going to have to drink it down. So you might want to have a glass of milk, or you might want to bake some other things. Now, you say to me, well, the old stove thing's really good and you can bake things. Say I'm making beans. Well, what do you recommend for the side? Cornbread. You just get some Johnny cake mix it all together and throw it into damn bread, and you're good to go. Sister hasn't messaged me yet. That's weird. Huh. Guess she thinks I'm just gonna call her at 7 anyways, but still. But anyways, the Johnny cakes, you just need to make sure you have Johnny cakes. I mean, literally, another thing people say to me is, well, what do you recommend for emergency foods if power goes out or other things? Oats. You can buy a bucket of oats. You can buy actually like um, a 6 gallon bucket of oats. You can buy a 10-pound bucket of oats. I mean, literally, the thing is it just basically tells you what do you want to buy. You can buy rolled oats, organic oats. I mean, I'd recommend oats too. I mean, you buy it a bucket and you can start eating that down. I mean, oats is healthy in the morning. And that brings me to the other thing, sugars. So you want a bucket of sugar, right? You can buy yourself granulated sugar, but the sugar is going to be expensive. So you got to make sure you don't buy something that stacks up like white sugar because it's granulated, it's processed. So you want to look at your sugar, right? So you get, say, 2 10-pound bags of Domino sugar. What do you do with it, right? Start Ziploc bagging it, right? Or your extra fine granulated sugar. You just 50 pounds. You basically pop that in there and buy it. Thing is, without that, you got to look at your that. Now, like this, for example, buy a can of this, right? A number 10 can, right? 3 pounds, 8 ounces, $20. You get your your brown sugar. You say, well, what's brown sugar for? It's for your oatmeal. The other thing is keep cream of wheat and cream of rice and cream of barley on hand. You can make breakfast that way if you don't like oatmeal. Of course, when you have oatmeal, if you have fresh fruits, you can just throw in a banana, like Higgins would do. You got your rolled oats. You can buy your bucket of brown rice and white rice cheap. Um, you can get a 2 pound box of sugar in the raw if you wish. Sugar in the raw is pretty good. Um, that's what Australians use. They don't like processed sugar, if you didn't know. But you can also get brown sugar. And then honey could be used in your oats too. I mean, if you're looking at it, you got to look at the availability of what you're going to be storing as an emergency. Now, a lot of people say, bah humbug, you shouldn't be prepping, nothing's going to happen. You're paranoid like the rest of these Trumpers or Republicans. No, there's something coming down the pipe. I mean, you don't see it. Most people don't. But me and Higgins, we've been talking about this privately, and something is coming. It could be martial law in the end of the thing right before voting. We can have martial law. Then what? Zoe and I couldn't leave our house because we're all under martial law, and we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, literally, they can give us, they can basically enact martial law, or say, for example, Biden has a knock on wood. He doesn't, but he passes away from coronavirus. Then all of a sudden, who takes over? Kamala and then Pelosi. And because they want to be underhanded tactics, for example, not likely they would. Well, let's just say they do. They declare martial law for some damn reason just to win the election. Then you got civil war when the gun owners go and do whatever. I mean, think of it. It could come down to the pipe one way or another, depending on what's going to happen. But this is one of the options I've been studying, and I don't like to talk about it, but it is an option that you might need to prep for. 10 to 5 p.m. dinner. Got it. Melba toast. Love it for Friday. Also, seeds like pumpkin. Good to have. Oh, yes. That's another thing. If you have access to a garden, you might want to stockpile seeds. We don't know what's going to happen. Zoe's right. You want to get all the vegetable seeds you need. Cinnamon and sugar. That's another thing. Exactly. And cooking oils. Exactly. Oils are getting harder to get a hold of. Bacon grease can be used as long as you cook bacon, And then, that's the thing. You want, you want cornbread makings. You want to buy cornbread makings in the bulk, So basically you get cornbread, there's like a pack of 9. There's, pack of 9. No, let's see here. You got pack of 6 or pack of 9. So, you don't want to get Cheerios. Cheerios is okay for once in a while. And there we go. Cornbread and yeah. So you want to do that, Also, again, you want to stockpile in the bulk peanuts and cashews and pistachios. Pack of 9. Oh yeah, here we go. That's not a bad deal for cornbread mix. I can do that. So you just buy some cornbread and you mix, the Krusties is good too for a German brand. And then there's some extra olive oil right there. Buy one, but you can, she's right. Olive oil is, or cooking oil. You just want to make sure your cooking oil doesn't explode. All right, so that would be my sister. I bet vegetable oil, right there. All right, so sister says sure, okay, cool. I'll say okay, cool soon. So you got, your cooking oil right there. You got your Amazon brand right there. So they don't sell it in the bulk. So what's funny is you look for this, you can't find it. Sometimes Amazon brands don't allow it. So oh, here we go. So 1 gallon of Amazon brand is not bad. So you want to keep at least 2 gallons of oil on hands, unless you're deep frying. Then you just want to get 4 gallons. But they have an Amazon brand, which I would try gladly. On that aspect, you want to get teriyaki sauce and teriyaki sauce. Hold on, teriyaki sauce and soy sauce for your prepping needs too. Yes, exactly. You want popcorn too. You can actually buy popcorn, and if you have it powers out, you might not want to use an air popper, But yeah. So, I had to tell Higgins that the funeral homes don't basically pay attention to me, and that's why they don't call me back. What now? Oh, just put K. See, kind of pain in the butt trying to send a text message, but you know what? It's fine. So, anyways, as long as Chris doesn't call me right before my sister, we should be fine. Garlic powder is a must. You can buy certain seasonings in the bulk. Garlic powder, onion powder. You gotta have onion powder too, by the way. So you can buy a block of garlic powder right here. Garlic, Happy Belly granulated garlic. Right there, an Amazon brand. It's called the Happy Belly. Happy Belly, right there. And then you get onion powder too. You can Amazon's getting their own brand. So Amazon, I wonder if the Happy Bellies. Oh, here we go. Happy Belly onion powder right there. You can get a whole you can get like almost a pound and a half or almost 2 pound bucket of it. So that works right there. And then those are some of the seasonings people would use. You know, another thing you might want to prep is in case of a power outage is if you can find manual razors, do it. If you can't, get an electric razor. For French onion dip, exactly. That's the thing. You got to think. And a lot of people, when the power goes out, let me just explain this. Give me a second. I want to use the bathroom. When the power goes out, people are going to be panicking. Okay. If there is a disaster and people didn't prep, you're going to see a lot of preppers right then and there rushing to the stores, mowing people down. I mean, running them over and doing everything they can to get their food, right? They're going to turn around and they're going to run around. They're going to run around, right? They're going to run around and they're going to steamroll you for what food they can get at the store. Temporary fix. Thinking the government's going to come out and bail them out. Meanwhile, preppers like us, we're going to sit back and watch the fireworks, as I call it. Watching the fireworks means we're going to stand around where I'm going to have a few nuts. We're going to stand around, right, and watch them buy enough food to get them through, thinking the power will come back the next day. Meanwhile, because they didn't prep, people that prepped properly will have communications, will have everything they need to know how long it will last. Meanwhile, bank cards won't work. Cash is king. And everyone else will be panicking. Well, we know what's going on. You see, I mean, you'll have to conserve your battery on your phone because phone service is going to be back up. Why do you think I said the walkie-talkies? If you have a walkie-talkie, the police monitor channel 9. So if any emergencies, you can use channel 9. Now you say, oh, well, the people are going to be panicking, right? They're going to be hitting up the grocery store. Hopefully you're paying attention because this is big. They're going to hit the grocery stores. They're going to hit the gas station for food. They're going to hit, and they're not going to be able to get anything unless they have cash. So what if they can't get anywhere, right? Cash is king. Then what? Say, there we go. That'll work. Say they didn't prep, right? And all of a sudden Chloe goes out, right? Armed with a knife, maybe a black powder pistol. She goes grocery shopping. And what happens? Turns around. And there's people walking up and down the streets. They didn't prep. So then Chloe gets a dog walk, rushes back and closes the door, window sealed up. Briefs me. Meanwhile, I'm manning the radios, making sure we have hundreds of batteries to run it to get through this. Meanwhile, they say stuff like avoid this, avoid that, right? Then people sit there and say, oh, yeah, well, it'll be restored tomorrow. It's just power outage. But they don't know it's nationwide. But then you don't tell them it's nationwide. That's the thing. You don't sit there and say, oh, yeah, it's nationwide. You just stay quiet. As long as no one can get a hold of others and all the phone lines are down, communication's down for cell phones, you just wait and see. Meanwhile, by day 2, no power. You've already made decisions. Most of your meat's gone, except your canned meat. You can also, as an emergency, eat your canned meats. Like your Spams, your canned lunch meat, cold. You can say, well, Rita, why would I do that? Because if you allude that you have a camping stove and you're cooking, your neighbors will be beating down your door and you won't have any peace. That's why when and if shit hits fan, you're a single woman like the beautiful Zoe, you stay the fuck in your house and you don't leave. You think owning a gun's gonna save you? It won't when a mob comes in there and it overpowers you. So what you gotta make decisions rationally. Some people say, well, they gotta come out sometime. That's when you arm yourself. You go out, do your business, come back in. Like one stays man's the house, the other one does the thing. Like up the stairs to the trash can, down the stairs, close the door. Until they'll be like, oh well, they'll run out of stuff. That's why you keep extra garbage bags on hand. Buy 8, 12 boxes, 16, 20 boxes of 200. You won't have to worry. You just got to run upstairs real quick in the middle of the night, which you got to be very careful. Deliver your garbage out when nighttime is dangerous. They do it in the daytime when everyone's around. Meanwhile, everyone's going to be flocking to find out news. Think about it. Everyone. They're going to be flocking for news. Any news. Meanwhile, you keep your scanner low or with headphones. And with me and Chloe, we're 2, so we can basically maintain and protect to a point. 2 people better than 1 in a pandemic. 1 person, you're a target. Well, all these people, right? All these people. I'll tell you what one of the secrets is, okay? The government, ready for this? The government wants you to lose your marbles. They want you to raise an army and to go after them when they're trying to contain coronavirus, contain monkeypox. Secret is the ones that will survive the most are ones that aren't seen or heard most, or isolated the most. For example, prepper that lives in their apartment only goes out once in a great while. Is more protected than the prepper that goes out every day. Think about it. If you've trained your mind If you train your mind to prep, and you train your mind to stay in an isolated area like a bunker, you're better suited for the job than someone who's a social butterfly that will lose their noodles when their internet's out. Think of how many dipshit kids are going to be fucking losing it. When and if kids lose their communications, they don't know what the form of going outside and playing is like. Like we kids were. We were told to go out, play, ride your bike, push the wagon around. Nowadays, kids don't even know what a fucking wagon is. Go figure. So, think of it. Think of it. These kids, they don't even know what a cassette tape is. A record player. They don't have any mindset to. Or the old 8-tracks. Yeah, exactly. You know, as long as there's power, I will be here, Zoe. That's the thing. But I'm prepping my sheep, my flock, as I say, for all things. Let me look. We're not just prepping for civil unrest or power outages or um, power outages. We're prepping for nuclear war. We're prepping for EMPs in case power goes out, banking gets reset. We're prepping in case the stock market crashes. I mean, look, we're prepping for the great reset if it happens. I mean, if anything happens, we're ready for it. Yeah, exactly. I grew up in the 80s. You had a few words like prepper, but it wasn't big. Nowadays, it's getting big. My dad was a prepper to a point. Military rations and guns. And then he was special forces, so they taught him a few things. Another thing I want to share with you. I don't know if I can get a hold of it, but let me see if it's around. Anyways. Oh, okay. In my prepper kit, I keep several books. You're like, oh yeah, whatever. Those books are written by special forces in the world. SAS, Green Berets, Airborne, Rangers, Force Reconnaissance, Delta Force, you name it. You say, why? Let me put it this way. These books that I keep on hand, references for surviving any and all disasters. Yeah. I think my book's in my desk. I'll go look real quick. But the desk, you know. You see? And if you don't have a book, you're screwed. I'll keep pocket one. find it for you guys later. But basically, the book basically gives you so many survival tips. What weeds to eat, what plants are poisonous, what snakes are poisonous. Those are the things you might want to train yourself on before the big bang or something happens. What mushrooms to eat. What animals are good cooked and roasted. I mean, literally, these books that I have, trained me. People sit there and say, well, you know. Yeah, well, let me put it this way. Some of you out there might want to get your ham license because you might want to get a portable ham radio just in case the power goes out. You can actually use it, communicate. I highly recommend a scanner because it'll pick up any and all things that you need. Think about it. When you're prepping for the future. What happens when your phone goes out? How many of you are going to be panicked? You see me glued to the phone? No. I'm usually looking through the news feeds on the old tablet phone. And then I use my main phone for calling people. That's it. There's too many people in this world that turn around and rely on technology. They prefer texting or emailing or calling people. But then when their phone goes dead, that's when they realize they took advantage of technology. Me? If the mail service works, letters go out. Think about it. You can still write letters, even if the postal service is out. But then again, they might not be delivering. You see? It's a big conundrum. Yeah, but we can still have it. I mean, think about it. What I'm trying to prep you for, Zoe, is not rolling brownouts. I'm talking about the literal EMP. Someone decides to shut down and hack or shut down our entire power grid. Our power grid hasn't been updated. That's one of our weaknesses. Didn't you know that? That goes out, we're screwed. So many people will die. Elderly won't be able to use their breathing machines. People will be panic buying. The cash only, ATMs won't work. Yeah. So an electronic magnetic pulse can wipe out the entire planet's technology in one foul zap. Let me put it this way. Go watch the movie Bond. GoldenEye. Pierce Brosnan, cute guy, by the way. Explains what the GoldenEye is. Basically a satellite that does an EMP pulse and can wipe out the Bank of England and wipe out the United States registry. I mean, they have them out there. They can wipe out everything, even your computer for tax records. Patrick Higgins would love an EMP to wipe out his tax records. There's 3 grids, I believe. One's in one. Canada's on their own grid for the most part, except for a certain part of Canada. You're on one grid. You're on the one grid, but Higgins is on, I think, and then we're on one grid, and Texas has their own grid for the most part. Unfortunately, Texas could run out, or someone could shock down Texas too, So, a whole time of Texas being on one grid, but you get the idea. Point being, is the power could go out, which would leave these dipshits without no phone, which would hurt them all. then that would also kill millions that need breathing machines and everything else. And without power, dipshits like my neighbor who conned him wheelchair, motorized wheelchair, would have to conserve its battery and stop smoking. You see? Yeah, people freeze to death without heat. I mean, literally. Do you see why people in low-income housing doesn't have fireplaces? Look at it this way. They want you to die. You're in low-income housing. They want to kill you. Baseboard heat. If it fails, you freeze to death. Anyways, we'll finish this. So, basically, you want all those items and anything else you can find for prepping. One being cards. I might be back. I might not be. But, because it's 7 o'clock, I'm going to have to go. Time to talk to my sister for a weekly chat about prepping and everything else in between. Would love to share with you guys, but you know what? You guys got the first start of the prepping list. Survive. You must think like a survivor. You must prep like a survivor. With that said, thanks for watching, everyone. Zoe, you have a great night, too, and enjoy yourself. You've been up so long anyways. You should rest. It's 9 there. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. You can also message me at any time on Instagram. So, for the rest of you out there, please add and subscribe. Please post comments. Please leave feedback, suggestion. Hit the like, subscribe button. Hold some fun for your family, including your dogs, your cats, your bunnies, service dogs, your service bunnies. Hit the bell notification for new content every day. Hit the thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, and hit the subscription button and leave comments. Nice as always. Leave nice comments as all we ask. Thank you so much, and God bless you in everything you do.